being gay is not what hurt me. It was how people treated me because of it. And that idea really helped me take accountability for the way I was treating myself, for the way I was looking at the world. And it's something that I feel that not a lot of other people who are not on a similar journey understand, because I think that due to media, films, headlines, old traditions and old stories that people have been passed down, and the way society is, they just assume that you being gay or queer is the reason why a lot of people are either sad or lost, suffering or miserable. And I feel like a lot of the media, a lot of films especially, have maybe contributed to the narrative that that is the case. I came to the realization that, you know what, it really isn't like that, because it's not your queerness that has caused you pain. It is the rejection, the shame, the silence. It is the way society has treated you and has taught others to treat you. And that is what causes one to, maybe not live life to the fullest. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not find their way out of that. I feel like for me growing up, especially when I came out to my parents, I know that one of the first things that really worried them was, oh no, you're gonna live such a miserable life. I don't want this for you. And because of what they've been taught and because of the culture that they come from, you can't blame them if that's all they know. If the connotation to being gay is this, looking back, I know not to hold it against them, and I don't. And it made me think about a lot of the media and films that are out there or that have been out there. And I remember that a lot of these movies, they either paint gay people as like these rigid stereotypes that most often are very flamboyant. We all know what I'm talking about. And a lot of those characters are the side characters that are just there for that. And then you know nothing else about them. And then the actual films that are dedicated to like a gay story, they often didn't have happy endings at all. It wasn't until recently that there's been more of like this shift, this more positive energy, more lighthearted tone. I remember growing up and just trying to get my hands on any type of like gay media, and I remember like a lot of indie films on YouTube, or even like the girls were pirating movies, allegedly. A lot of these indie movies, for example, I remember those films always touched on very dark themes. In the end, the guys, they would never end up together. There was always someone dying or someone getting tragically murdered. There was always themes of abuse, of drugs, addiction, abandonment, rejection. When I was thinking about this, I remembered about Closet Monster, that scene with the rebar. I'll never get that out of my head, and I don't look at rebar the same way. Call Me By Your Name, which is a more popular one. Remember how that ended? Well, actually, the whole story of that was kind of wild, age difference, but nonetheless, Brokeback Mountain. One that I saw a long time ago, which I rewatched recently, was Soldier's Girl. These are just a few to me that come to mind that they had there was good parts and bad parts to it, but always at the end, they were just always ended in just tragedy, and just like what it always just left you thinking like, what a sad story. And now when I say this, it's important to note that these are still very important stories. It's important that a lot of these films touched on the HIV and AIDS crisis and the aftermath of that. A lot of the films, talked about the reality of being rejected by all your loved ones and what happens to you when that happens. Where do you turn to? What do you do? Like the ones I just mentioned, a lot of other ones I can't think of, but how they end in just like tragic murders or suicides, even just violent tragedies, all because two innocent people liked each other, and because those around them just couldn't stand the fact that two people of the same sex were in love. Those stories are very important to tell, and I'm glad they were told. But I'm just saying, like me growing up, when you don't know anything and you're learning about stuff, it kind of does put a damper on things, and you're kind of like, well, is that how this is? Is that how, like, on your impressionable mind, just seeing only that, not the best representation, So it's really nice that the culture for the past several years has very much shifted into this more lighthearted. There's been a gradual shift into more lighthearted or even happy endings in films especially. So I'm thinking of Love, Simon, and then the Love, Victor show, the Heartstopper, which amazing, can't wait for the final season I guess, or whatever. Bros, those are more like mainstream ideas I can think of, but I love the fact that we're seeing more diverse media, because it feels like, wow, finally this gay character can finally have that fairy tale ending. And what is wrong with that? I feel like this very slow but gradual change has also been helping just the culture and people just become a little bit more open-minded, and it's helped change the conversations. For example, now the focus isn't too much on a movie about this character that goes on this journey and it's all because he's gay and this happens to him, or he has to go do this thing or the other thing, and then in the end something tragically happens and it's all because he's gay. Now we're getting more stories like this gay character has to overcome this big thing or deal with this big challenge, and in the end they make it out and it all works out. And stories being told this way do include being gay or queer into the storyline. It adds extra layers to the story, extra challenges, but that unique experience isn't the sole point of the story. It acts more of like a layer to help tell the story, whether it's like a story about a hero or a romance or whatever. It could still be kind of dark or touch on like dark real things that aren't necessarily like bubblegum pop like fairy tale princess Disney, but that the moral of the story is something that a lot of people can relate to. I think that people have seen just all this darkness around early films and maybe assume that just being gay is just this dark, terrible, miserable existence. And for a lot of us, well, because we live in this society, yes, perhaps maybe it did start like that for us. A lot of factors do go into play, but what I think that they fail to realize is that being gay or different isn't necessarily what defines you as this sad being. If your environment doesn't support you, if you have no love around you, if you are rejected by everyone around you, if you're just being shunned and being told all these things about yourself and just repeated back to yourself, that is what causes you to grow confused, conflicted, and you start to question, is what they're saying right? Is it true? Since everyone's saying it, it must be true, right? For me, I realized that the way people around me were treating me is what caused me to just sulk into, a dark place. And it really is because society doesn't accept people like us, people that are different, people that aren't like them. I don't honestly understand why those types of people don't understand that just because someone isn't like you doesn't make them any less human. And we're seeing a lot of that today, not even with just, in this instance, not sexuality, but ethnicity and where people come from and their heritage. Just because they don't look like you or speak like you, all of a sudden, they need to be locked up in cages. Like, that's a whole nother topic, girl. And I just wish that people understood that the way they treat others affects those people severely. And especially when it's children. I can speak for myself. I was a gay kid. And growing up, I heard terrible things and I saw people do terrible things to other people and say terrible things. And it's just, when you grow up like that, and then you also see it being reflected back to you in media, in films, in the news, and you just, put two and two together and you're just like, well, maybe this does mean this. Maybe being gay does mean being sad. Maybe my parents were right that me being this way does mean that I'm not going to be happy. But then you realize, girl, no. At least I realized that isn't true. Life is really what you make it. But having all that BS around you does make it so much harder. Because without having love in your life, without having acceptance, without having guidance, without having support, without having anyone in your corner to help you, it's really difficult. And a lot of people don't make it. It's why you always hear terrible stories of suicide, about drug addiction, about people being in self-destructive loops. It's a very difficult thing to cope with, to be ostracized by others, and to truly, truly believe that you don't deserve to live. And to truly, truly believe those people that say you are unworthy of life, that you are unworthy of finding love. It's just a very twisted thing to have to kind of deal with and cope with. Like I said, without that support system to really teach you that that isn't true and that you are worthy of all these good things just like anyone else, a lot of people do suffer. And I know that I'm lucky and I'm blessed to have had a lot of love around me and to have worked through all that, so I can sit here and talk about this and talk to you and have a chit chat with you. But it's just, that's why I think it's really those like early films that, you know, I saw growing up, those are very important because it does detail people's real life and what people do go through. I'm just glad that now we're getting more diverse stories, that we do see real things, dark things, light things. For example, Heartstopper, I feel like is very much like, well, I wouldn't even say Disney, there's some real stuff there. You know, it's really important to have representation in media. Everyone deserves to see themselves being told in these stories. We all look to it, you know, we all consume it. And if we see ourselves in these good stories, that really, I feel like, can help you grow. It can really help you understand yourself better. It can help you understand the world better. I really don't like when people say, oh, they're always trying to put gay stuff in this or in this show, in this movie, in the gay agenda, and this and that and the other thing. And when you look at the said media they're talking about, no one's doing that. They're just including people from real life. These are real people that exist. But just because you're one of those weirdos that just doesn't want to see it, you don't want to see anyone different, like, oh no. Having representation of all people, you know, showing more diverse people, showing more diverse stories in media does not take away from the mainstream. And the mainstream would be, in this case, heterosexual, like, white men. Let's be so real. You showing stories about women, people of color, people of different sexualities, you know, trans people, all these, like, that doesn't take away from you, sweetheart. So calm down. You could say that the negative experiences of life, the negative emotions of life that we've had to deal with, especially at an early age, I would say it's not your fault. You don't have to sit there forever. Being who you are doesn't automatically mean that you're going to have a dark, miserable life. All of that is not true. You really do have a choice to make the best out of what you were given. And you can either choose to sulk and lay in the sand and just take it, or you can choose to work with your situation, figure it out, look on the bright side, and, you know, create happiness for yourself in whatever way you can. No matter what has happened to you, no matter what life has thrown at you, as much as it sucks to accept it, there comes a point where we do have to take responsibility in creating our happiness, finding our happiness. I'm on that journey, and I hope you are too. And if you're not, I hope this kind of helps you, you know, maybe wake up or like think about it at least. We can't control what happened or how people treat us, but we can definitely control how we treat others and how we want to continue moving through life. If you want to see more videos like this, please let me know. You know, I want to talk about other topics as well, so please comment down below. I need your ideas. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to share it and subscribe.